3 Caribbean countries removed from the European Union's blacklist of tax havens. And in sport, rain interrupts the Tri-Nations Series final between the West Indies and Bangladesh. I'm Ricardo Robertson. This is Caribbean Intent for Friday, May 17th, 2019. I'll be back with the details after the break. The European Union today removed Aruba, Barbados and Bermuda from its list of non-cooperative jurisdictions. The 3 Caribbean countries were among jurisdictions placed on the blacklist in March for failing to change their tax rules, which the EU deemed at risk of facilitating tax evasion in other countries. But the EU Council said in a statement today that Barbados and Bermuda have been moved to the so-called grey list of jurisdictions that have undertaken sufficient commitments to reform their tax policies, while the Dutch Caribbean island of Aruba is still off all lists. It said Barbados has made commitments at a high political level to remedy EU concerns regarding the replacement of its harmful preferential regimes, while Bermuda and Aruba have now implemented their commitments in that regard. There are still now concerns about Bermuda in the area of collective investment funds, but the EU said the country has committed to addressing those. Belize, Dominica, Trinidad and Tobago and the U.S. Virgin Islands are among 12 jurisdictions that remain on the list of non-cooperative jurisdictions. In Antigua and Barbuda, government has reaffirmed its position to ensure the survival of regional airline LIAT. In a statement issued after the weekly cabinet meeting, it said there were discussions on Prime Minister Gaston Brown's choice to save the airline rather than collapse or downsize the carrier. It said LIAT workers are also encouraging the Antigua and Barbuda leadership to forge ahead despite criticism. The Antigua-based LIAT currently employs over 600 people and operates 491 flights weekly across 15 destinations. The cabinet statement noted that more than 400 of those employees are stationed in Antigua and 700 throughout the 15 jurisdictions to which LIAT flies. LIAT's major shareholders are Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, Dominica, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Grenada. In an address to the Barbados Employers Confederation on Wednesday, Prime Minister Mia Mottley stopped short of saying whether her administration would dispose of its 49% interest in the airline. She said she would not be having any discussions in the public domain. The Antigua Cabinet statement noted that LIAT also generates significant revenue for Barbados, whose leader signaled that ownership of the shares of the airline is a burden, and Mottley suggested that selling aircraft and downsizing LIAT is in that nation's best interest. In Belize, opposition legislator Julius Espart is seeking compensation after the Court of Appeal ruled that his ejection from Parliament 2.5 years ago be heard by the Supreme Court. Now, Espart, who was physically removed from the legislative chamber back in August 2016, is also asking the court to rule that the decision to remove him from Parliament was unconstitutional. The legislator had removed from the House of Representatives by several police officers on the instruction of then House Speaker Michael Prayfeet after questioning aspects of the Auditor General's special audit on corruption at the Immigration Department. He was later suspended from the house without pay. Espart, whose hands was injured during the incident, took the matter to the Supreme Court that struck out the claim on the basis that it lacked merit. But the Court of Appeal has ruled that the matter should be heard. He maintains that his ejection was unlawful because the Speaker and parliamentarians did not follow the proper procedures to call for a vote to name him in the House. And his attorney, Andrew Marshallek, told reporters that his client wants his name cleared.
This time around at the Supreme Court?
Well, he's seeking vindication of his constitutional rights. One, it seems to me that from the whole episode, having reviewed what happened, that with the greatest respect to all our parliamentarians, none of them are really familiar with the process and the rules for naming a member. And the whole proceedings went awry, terribly awry. And hopefully, if we get a consideration of merits, we know how that should be done in future.
And stay with us, your Midday Sport is next.
I think people have been expecting my album for a while because I spoke about it in some interviews, but it's been a long time coming and I am a perfectionist. So in the meantime, that's why I'm doing this project, because I really want to put that music out there that, you know, I think people need to hear. And Vi is a part of compilation or a project or an EP, whatever you guys would like to call it.
This is my new song, Queen, off of my album, Give Me More. This right here, it's for all my pretty brown girls out there. From the curve of your hips to your honeysuckle lips. Mwah. You ready? Let's get saucy. I'ma make ya move a little harder when ya hear a. This part, itty bitty.
West Indies openers Shea Hope and Sunil AMBRIS rain struck half centuries, but rain continued to stall the Caribbean side's progress in the Tri-Nation Series final against Bangladesh today. When the inclement weather drove players from the field in the 21st over, the West Indies were cruising on 131 without loss, and Hope unbeaten on 68 and AMBRIS on 59. Both batsmen played with little alarm after the Windies were sent in at the Village. Hope hammered 6 fours and 3 sixes off 56 balls, and AMBRIS notched a 6 fours in a 65-ball knock. Now, Hope was the first to reach his half-century in exactly 50 balls when he struck Seema Mustafizur Rahman for a straight 6 in the 18th over, which leaked 13 runs. AMBRIS, who had earlier smashed 3 boundaries in the 12th over from Mustafizur, reached his second half-century in ODIs with a couple to wide long off-leg spinner Sabir Rahman in the 19th over. To other news now, Cricket West Indies will stage a training camp for emerging players at month's end, geared at developing their skills in the limited overs formats. Now, 15 players will gather at the West Indies High Performance Centre at the Coolidge Cricket Ground in Antigua for the May 27th to June 13th program, which is part of a new CWI thrust to invest heavily in player development at the youth level. Now, the group selected includes 4 members of the ICC Under-19 World Cup winning side from 2016, with batsman Casey Carty and seamers Odin Smith, Chimar Holder, and all-rounder Shimar Springer all chosen. Left-arm pacer Dominic Drake, son of former West Indies fast bowler Vaspo Drakes, has also been included. 12 of the 15 players include the likes of Drake, Smith and Springer have been identified for next week's Caribbean Premier League draft. And that's for sport. Good evening.